Hi, everyone, and welcome to Junosphere, where we learn about a whole sphere of topics and how they are interconnected, just as we are all interconnected. Today, Juno lovingly dips into the history, legends, superstitions, and more surrounding the February holiday of Valentine's Day, including its connection to wolves and even to the ancient Roman goddess Juno herself. The heart, as the major symbol of love, is seen everywhere at this time. Common Valentine symbols are pictures of Cupid, love arrows, and bleeding hearts, all symbols of being love struck. The persistence of certain symbols throughout the centuries demonstrates the hold that folklore and tradition still have upon people. The legendary personage, Saint Valentine, whose name has been taken as the sponsor of courtship, has given rise to superstitious beliefs, love charms, and customs which are just as popular today as they were centuries ago. Saint Valentine was chosen as the patron saint of lovers. There are a number of different legends about the origins of Valentine's Day, and many of them overlap. During the Middle Ages, Saint Valentine was much involved in love charms and potions, since he was sketchily Christianized version of such love gods as Eros, Cupid, Kama, or Pan. The origins of Valentine's Day may lie in a pagan ritual in ancient Rome. One legend says that in pre-Christian Rome, the 15th of February was known as the Festival of Juno. There were several different Juno goddesses in ancient Rome. This particular one was known as Juno Februata, also known as Juno the Fructifier. The special time was known as the Feast of Februata, the day of honoring the goddess Juno, all of which fell around St. Valentine's Day. February was sacred to Juno Februata, goddess of the febris, Latin for fever, of love, and Februata, from which the name February is derived. Juno Februata was the Roman goddess of women and marriage. The main purpose of this celebration was to ensure fertility and bountiful crops. Another legend refers to this time in the middle of February as the time of the Feast of Lupercalia, a Christian festival in honor of Pan and Juno. Lupercalia was a lovers' festival patterned after nature and the return of spring. Lupercalia, Rome's festival of fertility and purification, was held in honor of Faunus, also known as Lupercus, the wolf spirit. Remnants of the holiday still linger in Valentine's Day traditions. The Feast of Lupercalia was celebrated on February 15th. On its eve, February 14th, girls' names were written on pieces of paper and drawn like a lottery by young men, amid rites and ceremonies establishing their partnership for the period of the festival. These couples then spent time together during the festival, with sex as the main agenda. In the newly Christianized Rome, Pan and Juno, along with all the other gods and goddesses, were discarded, but the feasts and celebrations continued in honor of Saint Valentine, one of the first martyrs and saints of those days. Saint Valentine was endowed with several contradictory biographies. The Christian clergy of the day, finding it difficult or impossible to extirpate the pagan practices, substituted the names of particular saints for those of the women. The saints whose names were drawn were proposed as examples to be imitated by those who drew them. In many religious houses where this custom still prevails, each member preserves his billet during the year as an incitement to imitate the virtues and invoke the special intercession of his holy Valentine. The substitution of names of saints for lovers could not please the young people forever. And although the clergy repeatedly forbade the custom of Valentines and ordered the use of the cards with saints' names instead, the old pagan customs could not be entirely abolished. A common legend has it that on February 14th, 269 AD, there was a priest or bishop in pagan Rome who was imprisoned for helping persecuted Christians. While confined, he is said to have restored the sight of the jailer's blind daughter, who fell in love with him. Later, he was clubbed to death. Another legend, patterned on the same idea, has it that it was a handsome Roman youth sentenced to die on the Appian Way. While awaiting execution, he fell in love with the blind daughter of his jailer. His farewell message to her was received by his lady love at the tragic moment of the execution and was signed, "From your Valentine," presumably the young man's name. Still another version says that Valentine was a holy priest in Rome who assisted the martyrs in the persecution under Claudius the Goth. He was apprehended and sent by the emperor to the prefect of Rome, who, on finding all his promises to make him renounce his faith ineffectual, commanded him to be beaten with clubs and afterwards to be beheaded, which was executed on February 14th, about the year 270 AD. Additionally, a story was put about that St. Valentine defied the Emperor Claudius's decree that fighting men should not have sexual relations in case their strength was sapped. The emperor was not in favor of the new religion, and to be a Christian at this time was hazardous to the health. But Valentine continued to proselytize despite the sentence of death that hung over the heads of anyone caught doing so. Later, he presided over illicit Christian weddings. But even in its Christianized form, the Valentinian festival involved secret sex worship, called a rite of spiritual marriage with angels in a nuptial chamber. Ordinary human beings engaged before witnesses in an act of sexual intercourse, described as the marriage of Sophia and the Redeemer. A spoken formula said, in part, "Let the seed of light descend into thy bridal chamber. Receive the bridegroom. Open thine arms to embrace him. Behold, grace has descended upon thee." Valentines appear to have taken root in England and to have survived there through all the mist and darkness of the Middle Ages. Heart-shaped epistles of greeting were in common use by the beginning of the 14th century. Many of the great bards of England devoted a part of their talents to the writing of Valentine verses, and it is a profitable business in the United States today. The old English custom of drawing lots on St. Valentine's Day was that the person being drawn became the Valentine and was given a gift of some kind, particularly a pair of gloves. If the young man had serious intentions of marriage, this custom in some way was a symbol expression of asking for the young lady's hand. The Puritans brought Valentine's Day to America in 1629. However, life was hard, and there was not a great deal of time for activities that were seen as frivolous. Consequently, it took about 100 years for Valentine's Day to be celebrated in America. Valentine's Day cards followed soon afterwards. By the end of the 18th century, the exchange of gloves and other gifts that accompanied the drawing of lots became the exchange of letters, which were sometimes secret and often humorous or insulting. These letters evolved into the Valentines that we know today. Red is the luckiest Valentine color, symbolic of the color of the heart. Above all, it expresses fervor and devotion. Not surprisingly, sales of red roses increase enormously at this time of year. Red roses were sacred to Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, and Bacchus, the god of wine and happiness. Roses are also associated with Cupid, who is believed to have been the cause of their appearance in the first place. According to legend, he was carrying a vase of nectar to the gods on Mount Olympus. Unfortunately, he tripped and spilled the nectar on the ground. Immediately, roses started growing on the spot. An ancient tradition in the folklore of many peoples is that about the 14th of February, birds choose their mates for the coming year. The idea that man should imitate the winged and feathered creatures which could sing, fly, appear and disappear in the heavens was suggested, and so a mating day was born. The dove is closely connected to Valentine's Day. Doves mate for life, share the duties of looking after their young, and are mentioned favorably in the Bible. Many still look upon the bird seen on the day of Saint Valentine as a prophet. Among these beliefs are that the first bird a young girl sees on Valentine's Day will help her identify her future husband. If she sees a blackbird, she will marry a clergyman. If she sees a robin redbreast or a bunting, she will marry a sailor. If she sees a goldfinch, she will marry an extremely wealthy man. If she sees a yellowbird, she will marry a man who is comfortably well off. If she sees a sparrow, she will marry a farmer and live happily in a cottage. If she sees a bluebird, she will marry a happy man, but live in poverty. If she sees a crossbill, she and her husband will argue constantly. If she sees a woodpecker or wryneck, she will never marry. If she sees a dove, she will marry a kind and good man. If she sees a flock of doves, she will have an exceedingly loving and happy marriage. It is bad luck to sign a Valentine's Day card. Naturally, this also defeats the object of the card. An ancient Valentine spell states, "A magic spell will bind me fast, and make me love you to the last. Let Cupid then your heart incline, to take me for your Valentine." Another common superstition says that the first person of the opposite sex that you meet and kiss on this day will be your Valentine for the next 12 months. If a single woman goes for a walk early in the morning on Valentine's Day, superstition says that she can expect to gain information about her future marriage. If the first person she meets is a woman, she will not get married that year. However, if the first person she meets is a man, she will become engaged within 3 months. Saint Valentine is reputed to have worn an amethyst, which is why it is sometimes called the stone of love. This also makes it a popular gift for lovers to give to each other. Other names for the amethyst include the bishop's stone, the stone of healing, and the stone of peace. Valentine's Day dreams stand for the celebration of those you care about and may occur if you are not expressing your feelings sufficiently. To dream that you are sending valentines foretells that you will lose opportunities to enrich yourself. It proved very difficult to suppress the memory of the Lupercalia, and today the Church rarely celebrates Saint Valentine. However, as a secular celebration of love and romance, Valentine's Day is a great success. The small slips of paper that had the names of the girls written on them effectively inspired the Valentine's Day cards that are such a massive business today, and which tradition decrees should be sent anonymously. It is the second biggest card sending time of the year after Christmas, so the original saints would probably be pleased that people remembered them, despite their apparent abandonment by the Church. Do you know of any Valentine's Day customs or superstitions? Let me know in the comments below. I love learning more about other cultures and their beliefs. Here's wishing you a very happy Valentine's Day. For more information on a variety of other fascinating topics, please check out the growing library of videos on Junosphere. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and jingle that bell to receive notifications. I am so appreciative of your support. Thanks for tuning in, and I invite you to tune into Junosphere again soon. Bye!